Well, hello. Trigger warning. This video pissed me and Ben off.
Greatly.
There's this video by, it's by Al Jazeera Plus, and it's this guy named Matt Lieb, something like that. I've never heard of him before, but he did this great takedown video of libertarian ideology, the religion of libertarianism, as he calls it. So let's go ahead and just get into it.
Should someone have to have a government-issued license to drive a car?
Hell no.
What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?
The license to drive? You know, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
All right. So that was just, you know, his little intro thing that he puts at the beginning, and it's kind of like that hook, so you watch the whole video. But I'm kind of glad that he brought up those specific key points, you know, from the Libertarian Convention. And this is something that, like, libertarians have to understand, is that libertarians, like, if we're talking as a whole, all right, speaking in generalities, we're not very cool. And that says something to how effective the Libertarian Party has been over the last 40 years.
When it comes to messaging, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever point he was trying to make with that little intro, he made it. I'm sorry. I have to give him this. All right. But watch the rest of this stupid fucking video. Oh, by the way, we have this idea.
We're going to have a drinking game.
No.
Every time...
Wait, hold on. We're not trying to get people killed.
Yeah. If not on your way to work, we're having a drinking game.
No, this is guaranteed alcohol poisoning. All right. This video made us so mad. Any of you listening, like, if you're able to count how many times we say fuck, or any iteration of the word fuck,
Or take a drink, if you dare.
or take a drink. If, you know, if this life is just too much
You may need a drink.
and you want to die, like, go ahead, drink every time we say fuck.
You might need your own little therapy after or while watching this.
All right, let's get into this video again. Leave it in the comments how many times we said fuck.
Libertarianism, America's favorite political sideshow. While they're often looked at as just a fringe group of political whack jobs who think that the road to Stalinism is paved with driver's licenses, the truth is their ideology is much more influential and dangerous than you probably realize. Because libertarianism isn't so much a political philosophy as it is a religious ideology where the Lord and Savior is pure,
unadulterated capitalism. Dangerous. That alone makes you go, well, this guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about.
Exactly.
Libertarians want to leave you alone.
Yeah.
How is that? Only a socialist communist could be like, that's a dangerous idea. We can't just let people run their own lives. That would be dangerous.
I mean, in his mind, he thinks that his fucking Marxist bullshit or whatever is people living their own lives. But that shows how little he even understands. And there's a bigger point that he makes. Actually, it's right here where he says, we're the Lord and Savior is pure, unadulterated capitalism. That's not libertarianism. Libertarianism, Jesus, is not synonymous with capitalism. All right?
Right.
Most of us are capitalists. We think that capitalist is the most voluntary system, whatever. But, like, those two things are not, like, mutually exclusive.
Right.
You know? And that's as deep as he goes. Is, oh, libertarians like capitalism. Okay, well, why? Like, he never asks any of the points that he makes. He never, like, seeks the why in any of that.
It's a very superficial takedown of libertarianism. He hits all of the points that you've heard probably over and over again that other people have made.
Yeah.
And he throws it all into a string of consciousness, barely conscious. But, oh, that face is priceless too. Fuck you, dude. Already started.
Matt Lieb, you piece of shit.
Yeah, this guy. It's pure, like, status propaganda. You almost have to wonder, like, is he being paid? He's one of those social influencers that is getting paid by the state to, you know, push this bullshit? But okay.
Well, okay. The big mistake that he makes with this sort of joke thing that he makes, where he goes, "We're the Lord and Savior is pure, unadulterated capitalism." Not true. The if libertarianism is a religion, all right, which is not, it's retarded.
Milton
Then
Friedman
the Lord and
is
Savior,
the Lord and Savior. No.
the Lord and Savior of libertarianism is property rights. You know,
That's true. Yeah.
like if you want to talk about what we hold in the utmost highest regard, it's property rights
And self-ownership, which is the same
Yeah.
thing. You own yourself.
Yeah, that's number
It's
one.
property rights.
And everything else is based off of that. You know. All right, I can punch this guy in the fucking.
I'm already triggered.
Rated capitalism. Invisible hand of the free market, take the wheel.
LOL on that one. News
American
broke.
libertarianism is the idea that government is evil and needs to be dismantled. Libertarians don't see society as a collective. They instead champion radical individualism. They see the free market as a force for absolute good and government as solely a corrupting force. One of the primary ways they
I mean, he's
right.
I mean, yeah, he's not wrong.
But the fact that he's actually looking at this from that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Just is like, dude, are you only like 5 minutes old? Because my kid could have a better like realization of what is reality,
Right.
And how governments are in effect just force.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. Like, I mean, I think I would be a little flustered in like a debate, but like I would love to debate this guy because he's so superficially ignorant and stupid that I think, you know, you peel the layer down one or two and he would be like blah blah blah, like nothing left to say.
Right.
these beliefs is by shrieking about taxes constantly.
Taxation is
Still
theft.
not wrong.
Taxation is theft.
Taxation, quite frankly, is theft or armed robbery or extortion.
Yup, taxes are just like robbery, except instead of taking your television away, they take your trash away.
Dumb.
Is nice. It's nice.
I hate this.
Sure, paying taxes doesn't feel good, but once you factor in all the bridges and schools and firefighters and roads and whatnot, it does seem like kind of a fair trade. But don't you dare mention roads to libertarians.
Okay. This is where I was starting to get like mad because I was like, oh, it's a fair trade. Oh, is that all that taxes do?
I was thinking to myself, did I miss that form where I could just designate my taxes to go to schools, roads, and firefighters? Because I you know, if I could check those boxes on my tax return, so that's the only place my money went, then it's still theft, but at least I get to pick and choose where it's squandered.
Yeah.
This
And it's like, and it's like it is surface level shit because that's where you're like, dude, how dumb are you? Because seriously, like you're not at all gonna be like, tax money also went to the war in Iraq, tax money also went towards the genocide in Yemen, tax money also went towards the 20-year useless war where we got nothing out of it, out of Afghanistan, taxes went towards Vietnam, taxes went towards World War I and World War II. Like that's where the taxes went also. All right. So it's like, are you gonna tell me that having your trash picked up, or like even make it more extreme? Are you telling me that not having a fire station is worth the tens of millions of lives that have been lost due to your fucking tax dollars? You're gonna tell me that those are one of the same things? Like, well, you have to have one without, you can't have one without the other. You know, if you're gonna have fucking a paved road in front of your house, all right, because you think that's necessary to fucking exist or whatever, you're gonna tell me that that's worth all those dead people, all those dead kids? Fuck you.
Yeah, he is. Unfortunately, I've had these kind of discussions with a lot of. I mean, they tend to be leftists, but I'm sure it goes from both sides. But there is this, from the leftist ideas that the government can just make money out of thin air.
Yeah.
And our taxes go to roads and schools. The money that goes to war is the money that the government just, prints. Right? And so they just have this idea that the government just kind of creates money.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that the government can only borrow money, and the government can't pay that money back. Only we can. The government doesn't generate a profit. It doesn't produce anything of value.
Right.
Therefore, all of that, debt that what is it, 33 trillion that we've got now,
I think.
that's on us. Like, we have to pay that back.
Yep.
And if the government defaults and we don't pay it back, then our money's going to be worthless. We're going to have to pay it back some way or another. It's going to have to be through inflation or a debt default.
Yep.
And our lives are going to be drastically worse regardless of either of those outcomes. So this whole idea that taxes are the price that you have to pay for a free society, I just want to strangle people like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Ah, the old who will build the roads. Roads, roads, roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
No, seriously, we need roads. Libertarians have an almost cult-like adherence to the idea that government is bad and the free market is God. I mean good. I mean God.
The free market can solve the problems of the environment.
When it comes to healthcare, what we need is a real free market approach to healthcare.
The Thanksgiving feast came because they had private property rights and they had free markets, and that's how we will take care of the poor.
And lo, the burning bush.
He's taken a lot of these clips out of context, but the point that he's making is another one that I'm actually going to give to him, because it's if you get down to brass tacks, yeah, we do talk about the free market fixing every single problem, which we believe it can, but I think we need to put a big focus on not making it a God question,
Well, and the fact that he's pulling these clips from, I think this was the presidential debate 2016.
Yeah.
And if only the worst thing or the biggest topic in a debate is the roads, because I can guarantee you that's not going to be a question in any libertarian debate moving forward. We have a shit ton more to talk about.
Right.
So it is unfortunate that messaging from the libertarians' perspective, the fact that we were even talking about roads, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Driver's license or roads are, that doesn't even make the list of the priorities that we need to address.
Small, stupid priorities.
So why is it the fact that libertarians go off in tangents about stupid shit like that? It makes it easy to pick on us for that.
Well, the only times roads have ever been brought up to me is if somebody's if I'm talking to somebody who is not a libertarian, and so it's like I like I said, I kind of understand the point that he's trying to make, but he doesn't understand the answer to his point, or he doesn't even understand the point that he's trying to make. He's just trying to make us look like, oh, look at these guys, they're fucking lame, they give dumb answers, they just think the free market is going to fix everything, when most people, when they do say what about the roads, you'd be like, okay, here's how that would work,
voluntary exchange,
or you can pay somebody to pave the road in front of your house, but people think their automatic thing is that's going to cost me $100,000. How in the world am I going to do that? And there are other answers to that. Number one, you don't know how much it's going to cost. It's going to cost you what you are willing to pay for that. That's what it's going to cost you.
And you're going to get a much better quality at a much cheaper price.
Yes.
If you're in control of it versus some government bureaucracy. Blah, 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 blah. That is, having their next door neighbor bid up the price to get stupid rich.
Yeah.
Like the crony capitalism that we have now, where any government job it's just cash in somebody's pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, this guy definitely had an agenda, and he went to find material to prove his agenda.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people on the other side of this, the non-libertarian side, they cannot fathom roads without a government.
Right.
And it's because there's
my body language. I'm ready to pounce. All right, I gotta just.
Said unto Moses, don't worry about paying taxes, my dude, for the invisible hand of the free market will take care of everything. And yea, the bush soon became a forest fire and burned down Moses' village because there were no taxes and thus no firefighters.
Not a thing.
So what would a completely free market approach to healthcare look like?
I don't even want to get into this guy's answer.
Just look at the first 100 years of the United States. We didn't have taxes.
Yeah.
And it was the most like thriving economic engine that the world's ever seen. It wasn't until 1911 when the Federal Reserve started, and then we started getting the boom and bust cycles, and then we devalued our money, and then we left the gold standard. Like that's when it really started going downhill. And it's just amazing how many people think what we have today is capitalism.
Yeah.
And so they look at it and go, oh, capitalism's evil. It's all about just screwing the little guy and making as much money as you can. And it's like, that's...
Which it is now.
Right. But
You
it's because of government contracts and government favors that allow those rich and those people to get stupid rich.
Right.
And it's because the little guy is just, used basically by the monster of the corporations, but that could never have happened without a giant government that has the power to dictate how we live, thanks to regulations and licensure laws. Again, it's just like I have to look at this guy like he's a 2-year-old because that's about as good of the points that he's making.
If this motherfucker was 3, he would have been punched in the face.
I was just going to say, I'd punch a 2-year-old if he was spouting this shit.
According to Gary Johnson, who was ultimately selected as the Libertarian nominee for president.
We would have health insurance to cover ourselves for catastrophic injury and illness, and we would pay as you go in a system that was very, very affordable. We would have stitches are us. We would have gallbladders are us. We would have x-rays are us.
Gallbladders are us? Hey, are you tired of those leaky gallbladders that you have to swap out every 6 months like a common windshield wiper? At Gallbladders R Us, we guarantee a leak-free bladder for only $19.99. That's right, I said $19.99. I must be crazy. People were like, wow, I didn't even know gallbladders could be that cheap, but they can be because they're made out of plastic. We also got dogs. Okay, but what about poor people?
Okay, another thing, and this is completely outside of politics. This guy just is not funny.
No, that's just cringe.
We also have dogs.
Pure cringe. Like, I could come up with better material than that.
Or old people who can't afford organs from Gallbladders R Us. Like, how would libertarian...
Okay, why can't they afford them?
Yeah.
Because you're basing it on the prices with the American crony capitalist healthcare industry.
Right.
That's what you're basing that off of. Oh, fucking gallbladder is going to cost $20 bazillion. Why the fuck is that? Why?
It's government. It's government.
Yeah.
It's all the requirements and all the paper. I work in healthcare. Like, I could tell you right now, if all the government did was force transparency, you would see prices just plummet in healthcare.
Yeah.
Where there was no subsidies and it was completely transparent and everybody had to compete in a market.
Yeah.
That's the thing is we don't have capitalism in healthcare, and that's why it's so expensive.
We barely have competition.
Yeah, we barely have competition, and that's literally just kind of like a tug of war over those who still pay for their insurance. That's all the competition we have.
Yeah.
Let's help them.
How many people in here, and I actually do want a show of hands, love grandmas? How many of you would donate money to feed grandmas? I do not see a single person that did not raise their hand. That's how you fund Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare.
Okay, that guy is a goofball, but goddamn, was that a good point that he just made?
Yeah, like
a really good point. Because he's ignoring the biggest thing.
Ever heard of GoFundMe?
Well, GoFundMe, like Kickstarter, there's so many crowdfunding sources out there. But the biggest point that he just refuses to make is that a room full of people that he is calling crazy religious nut jobs, all right, all of them raise their hand to voluntarily funding a Social Security program.
For old people. or for the elderly.
Nobody forced them to do it. They were just like I forget his name, but he
Dumbass.
No, not the the libertarian guy.
Okay, Screech. Well, he does look like Screech.
Mr. Toaster dude. But like, holy shit, he made a really good point and illustrated it all at the same time. How many people love grandmas? Everybody raised their hand. He said, I don't see anybody that didn't raise their hand. You know? It's like, first of all, if I don't have the financial burden of our current taxes, then yeah, I can look at the money that I earn and I can be like, well, yeah, I'll take X percent of this and put it towards this fund, you know? And that would, like, imagine the kind of positive, the kind of positive culture that would build. You know, if people could pick where their tax money goes, or if they could voluntarily choose to pay taxes and what they would want to pay taxes for, like, imagine what that kind of society would look like. Because if you take a huge group of people like the United States, 350 or 320 million people, however many there are, all right, and they're all thinking about their tax dollars going towards either their children or their parents or their grandparents, or like actually helping other people, how many people do you think would choose to send money to gender reassignment programs in Iraq?
Or just like the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And the thing is that taxes legitimize government waste and government abuse, because it gives not the allure, but it gives the illusion that the government has an income and that's what they're spending. And in reality, our taxes are a fraction of what the government is actually spending. Most of their spending is on debt, which we'll have to pay eventually.
Right.
But it allows, I mean, if you got to decide where your taxes went and you were able to allocate and verify that was going to where you wanted it to go, then at least that would be on the road to a more freer society.
Yeah.
Even if you still had to have taxation, but you got to decide where the money was spent and how it was spent, I think would be a huge improvement over the current system.
Right.
As for grandpas, them. There's a kind of charming faith-based optimism when it comes to the way that libertarians view private enterprise and human nature. Scary and delusional, but charming. Just listen to Libertarian candidate John McAfee's reasoning when explaining why we don't need government-funded social programs, because we can rely on each other.
None of us are going to pass a child drowning in a river, even if we're dressed in a tuxedo heading to our wedding. Libertarianism is not heartlessness. It's the opening of the heart to your neighbor.
Oh, speaking of neighbors, true story, John McAfee was wanted by police in Belize in connection to the murder of his neighbor, so he's sweet. The idea that we don't need laws because people will do the right thing anyway, or that we don't need taxes because people will fund important things anyway, or the idea that we don't need regulations because companies will be ethical anyway, none of that is born out of any statistics, historical precedent, or any other evidence of any kind.
Except the first 100 years of this nation. It's just, dude, open a history book. Fuck.
Same kind of faith-based thinking as Santa is real or Ted Cruz is human and not just someone wearing a Bat Boy mask that got melted in a microwave.
Oh my God.
He's
That is
not funny.
fucking funny. Like, okay. The other thing is he never substantiates any of the claims that he makes. Not a single one. He goes, there is no historical statistical precedent whatsoever for what you're saying. What? You're serious? No historical precedent whatsoever? You're just, but that, like, and this is the thing that I noticed from the left as soon as I got, like, out of the left and was kind of just sort of agnostic about the whole thing, is that they just make claims. They just make, like,
Because it's how they feel.
yes.
Because it's all feeling based.
Yes, exactly.
It's not rooted in logic or in data.
So, like, this guy, you know, assuming he actually wrote this and he's not just the mouthpiece that they put in front of a camera and gave lines to, but, like, whenever he says like there's no historical statistical data whatsoever, it's just that he's never seen it because that's not what he's looking for.
And he's never looked.
He's never looked for it. And so it, just like you said, he feels like he's like, I don't remember ever seeing a statistic about capitalism being
because
good.
my lifetime is all that matters.
Yeah,
and in my lifetime,
I don't know about anything pre 1987
and
or
he's
whatever.
clearly never seen GoFundMe or any of those other.
Yeah,
because what they do for like people who are, you know, like my uncle lost his daughter. And there was a GoFundMe, and like it paid for the funeral, it paid for all the extra expenses, and like the headstone. Like that GoFundMe did more than any tax dollar
during COVID. Like there were several times where my wife's work, she works at a daycare, it got like shut down, you know, several times, and we did the best that we could, but like there was a point that we got to financially where we were just like, we have no money and we have like our rent coming up, you know, and no way to pay for it whatsoever. You know, there's nobody that we can borrow it from. Like there's nothing that we can sell to get this money like right now, you know. And we put out like a GoFundMe thing, and a bunch of our friends and family members, you know, were able to pitch like $15 here, $20 there, and we were able to pay our rent, you know? And so for the people who are out there thinking like, okay, well, think about the people who are on like some kind of government assistance, whether it's like food or housing or something like that, like our needs in that moment were taken care of by charity,
by community.
Yeah, by our community. Like our community took care of us in that moment. And it's like there's millions of like communities across this country, you know, to help people out, you know, but you like this is something that they never like really get into this topic, but like they know that there are a ton of people on government assistance who don't need it, who just don't want to work.
That's the thing with government assistance. It breeds dependency.
Yeah,
and all it is buying votes. It's bribery. Right. And like that's just not the way you want to build a healthy society. It's not how you want to incentivize people to, you know, grow and, you know, better themselves. If you're reliant on a handout from the government, you become complacent. I mean, that's where you get crime and suicide and broken homes. It's what happens when you live off the government. I mean, look at the Native Americans. I mean, we eradicated them not out of war, but because of government money. Like that's how we destroyed them. So, I mean, there's talk about African Americans. You know, we talked about on the last podcast about like getting, you know, these reparations, and it's like, you want to see what reparations does to a class of people? Look at the Native Americans. They're just aimless, and alcohol abuse is rampant, and drug abuse, and like they're because they're living off of the government. And that's the last thing you want to do to society or to any group of people that you claim to care about is putting them on the dole.
Yeah. Yep.
While libertarians might be anti-driver's license, anti-Medicare, and anti-public roads, the flip side of being so rigidly anti-government is that they also end up being anti-NSA, anti-interventionist, and anti-drug laws, which appeals to people on the other side of the political spectrum.
It should appeal to everybody.
Never, ever once even approaches the idea of like, why would they be anti-interventionist? Why would they be anti-drug laws? Why would they be anti-NSA?
Or the fact that it's like the way he's describing it is like those are like it's bad to be against those things.
Yeah.
Like, dude, again, are you getting paid by the government for this PSA? Because like, it's starting to look like it even more.
Well, it's like, motherfucker, like you liberal fucking bitch, walk into a ghetto neighborhood, all right? Walk into one of these. Walk into any black community and be like, what do you feel about the DEA? What do you think about the drug laws in this country? How have they helped you out? You know? Oh, your son got murdered by a fucking...
no-knock warrant?
By a no-knock warrant? Oh, your daughter was killed in a shootout? Yeah. Never wants to approach those topics.
Oh, no.
In fact, the common elevator pitch for libertarianism is that while fiscally conservative, they're also socially liberal.
I believe in a world where gay married couples can protect their marijuana fields with fully automatic machine guns, baby.
Amen.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Preach it.
Wait, hold on. Why do we need machine guns if weed is legal? Oh, it's the world's more dangerous? Libertarian world's more dangerous.
Okay, why? Like how?
Prove that.
Explain that. Explain how it's more dangerous.
Because I'm sure he would love to ban all guns. But let's look at a city who's banned all guns and see what violence does occur. Because in his world, Chicago would be the most beautiful, clean, violent-free city.
Yeah.
So suck it, dude. Just do your homework before releasing this bullshit.
Yeah, you fucking homo. I don't know why I had to make this a gay thing.
Well, he is clapping a little effeminate.
More dangerous. But the socially liberal side of libertarianism is less about a belief in civil rights being law and more that civil rights are less important than property rights. Listen to libertarian darling Senator Rand Paul explain his thoughts on the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
I like the Civil Rights Act in the sense that it ended discrimination in all public domains, and I'm all in favor of that.
But
you had to ask me the but. I don't like the idea of telling private business owners. I abhor racism. I think it's a bad business decision to ever exclude anybody from your restaurant. But at the same time, I do believe in private ownership.
Wow, I abhor racism, but that should definitely be the new liberty.
And again, he stops after the but. And it's like, whoa, 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 you're ignoring half of the huge point that he's making.
Well, I think, honestly, Rand Paul was trying to play both sides of the fence in that response.
Yeah.
If I would have said, I am not for anti-discrimination laws. Because, if you go back to the 60s, and give it a couple more years, the market would have solved that for you. And what you did by imposing government rule is you created you further divided two classes of people and made them more angry at each other, which caused, how many race riots and how many beatings and how many people died because of the government dictating what private businesses or who they could serve and who they couldn't serve. Because again, a market would have selectively removed the bad actors as people refuse to do business with them.
Or I'll even go this far. It's like, if you are a business owner, let's say you own a coffee shop, all right? And it is a whites only coffee shop. Now, I love coffee, all right, but not fucking that much, And so if I found out that this coffee shop didn't allow fucking Asians or whatever, pick any race, they don't allow whatever race.
They don't even serve black coffee.
Then I'm definitely out because I'm a black coffee.
It's just milk.
Yeah, milk just ruins the coffee. Anyway. One love.
Sorry. Love for my white milk drinking people.
So, anyway,
not going to be frequenting that establishment.
Right? Yeah. I don't want to go there. I don't want to give that guy my money. But let's say that there is somebody who can establish a successful whites only coffee shop. Okay, and let's say it's in fucking Alabama. Or Arizona, where all the white people are. All right. Then, okay, cool. I know where not to go. I have a friend who's Jewish, and he's like a Hoppian anarchist. And he goes, he's like, I really like the Hoppian view on communities because the big fear there is so all the white supremacists can get together and make a whites only city. And it's that's true. In the Hoppian format, that's true. But my Jewish friend was like, you mean I would know what city has all the anti-Semites in it and I don't have to go there? Sign me up. And I was like, that's genius.
Yeah.
It's why wouldn't you want to know, hey, all these assholes live in this town and they don't want your kind in there. It's like, cool. All right. Thanks for letting me know where not to go.
Well, and within probably 1 to 2 generations, that town's going to die out and die off.
Or they're all going to be fucking inbred,
right?
You know, and more than they already are.
and you really don't want to go there.
They're going to be like, fresh meat.
And they are not talking about anything other than eating.
Slogan. Libertarianism. I abhor racism.
That's not the point you think it is.
And this isn't just Rand Paul. Libertarians often deflect on questions of civil rights.
Mr. McAfee, would you have voted in favor of the 1964 Civil Rights Act had you been in the Senate?
Hold on, I have to make another point. He goes, libertarians often deflect on the question of civil rights, but Rand Paul didn't deflect. He answered the question.
He tried to play both sides of the fence, but yes, he did answer the question.
I mean,
in a
like,
political.
He flowered it up a little bit,
Yeah.
or he to try to like soften the blows, if that's what you want to call it. But at the same time, it's like he answered the question. He believes, or like he
supports civil rights.
He doesn't like racism, but he doesn't believe in the idea of holding a fucking gun to a business owner's head and be like, you have to serve fucking these people that you don't like. You know?
Right. Bake that cake.
It's crazy. Bake the cake, yeah.
Many of you know my wife is black. And having spent 3.5 years living 24 hours a day with her, I can assure you that legislation in no way ended discrimination.
Okay, again.
Brilliant point.
Brilliant point, all right?
Which is kind of funny because, like, I mean, if he really wanted to take down libertarians, in some ways, he's not doing a very good job.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, my bias, but I think most people, rational people, would listen to that response and go, yeah, he's right.
With the context, you know. But I mean, John McAfee put it in the best possible way. He goes, it didn't end discrimination. Your Civil Rights Act did not end discrimination. It didn't fix the problem it was aiming to solve.
Yeah.
You know?
It's too bad the CIA killed him. Another topic for another episode.
Not in my home. I have my own whites-only bathroom. She's not allowed.
Like, where did he get that point from? Where?
I think he's just trying to be funny, but it's like, dude, lick a toilet seat. Like, it's just stupid.
You've got some of the most creative, like, fuck yous I've ever heard. It's just like a toilet seat. And I'm like, it sounds like a Sunday school, like, insult, but at the same time, I'm like, no, that's pretty hardcore.
Gross. Yeah. I've been watching Old School a lot recently and Step Brothers.
But yeah, it's like he plays a really good point from John McAfee, and then he goes, but he's actually a racist and hates women. It's like, what the fuck? Like, did you not hear what you just played?
Yeah.
You didn't hear him say, like, I've been
black.
married to a black woman, and let me tell you, that didn't end discrimination. That's a pretty, I mean...
So the way he makes it sound is like John McAfee was racist against his own wife.
Yeah.
Like in what I don't. Again, it's not funny. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to do it for comic relief and it's not factually based at all, yeah,
it's just really
cringe.
stupid points.
It's clear that libertarianism represents the furthest right-wing fringe of economic conservatism. They're basically like the Stalinists of the right. They're
Those
like
are
that
fighting
tanky
words, buddy.
Facebook friend you have that keeps sending you those Mao Zedong memes. The only difference is that unlike your one lonely tanky friend, there are literally millions of libertarians. In fact, 1 out of 10 Americans identifies as a libertarian. Think about that. If 1 out of 10 Americans describe themselves as...
This is some weird, like, fear-mongering shit.
Afraid.
Yeah. Did you know that?
1 out of 10.
1 out of every 10.
Every time you
and
look
then
at
shows
leave the
11%.
I wish those stats were true. And I wish, that's even if we got 10% of the country to vote libertarian, we
We would fundamentally change this country.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
would be huge.
Yeah.
believers of the Juche religion of North Korea, the United States would declare a state of emergency. But no, these people are fine because they don't worship Kim Jong-un. They worship Kim Jong-un. Rand.
Oh my fucking God.
This guy.
I'm not even mad about the Ayn Rand reference. I'm just angry at the joke. It was such a bad joke.
Trying to
I think
compare
this is what makes
libertarians
me the most angry throughout this whole video.
To Maoists.
Yeah.
What? Dude, he's probably looked up libertarian on Wikipedia and read one sentence and go like, oh, I don't like these guys.
Listen, this curly-headed fuck, Step Brothers reference, like, hire a comedian.
Yeah.
Hire a comedy writer. You're not doing it, buddy. Or whoever wrote this fucking thing, because I don't believe this guy's this fucking talented.
Kim Jong-un, Rand, they worship Ayn Rand. The joke is good. It's a good pun.
No, it's
so
not.
how
No,
did
it's
such a
not.
fringe political ideology gain so much ground in America? Well, not shockingly, it turns out that libertarianism is very popular with the very rich, specifically among the political donor class. There's Peter Thiel, the Silicon
No.
Why aren't this is something I've asked before. Why aren't billionaires funding every libertarian candidate?
Because
Why is that?
They like the special treatment they get from the government. They love the handouts. They love the special feature. They love the regulations. I mean, you had, what's his face, the robot from Facebook when he went to Congress. And he was,
motherfuckerberg?
Yeah, he was like pleading for regulations. Like, regulate me harder. Like grabbing his, teats and like, regulate me, please. Well, that would probably be way too emotional for him. But
I would highly appreciate if you would regulate me further.
Can we put a blindfold on next time you regulate me?
I've brought my favorite gag ball.
But that's like the regulations prevent any competition. So that's why they love regulations. That's why they love government.
Yeah.
It gives them monopolies. And you can buy off politicians a lot easier than competing in the marketplace.
See, a lot of these things have to have a deeper explanation. Like there's no like way to put this like on a Hallmark card and completely get that idea across, like that's sort of the unfortunate thing about libertarianism is that a lot of the really important points that we have to make have to be in the context of like a bigger conversation. It's not like something like abortion where you either think it's murder or you think it isn't, and you can put a nice little like
bow on
babies deserve to live on a poster card, or women deserve to have control over their bodies on a poster card. Like those are really nice, easy points to make. But like the libertarian position on abortion, or even like the whatever my pro-life and cap position is, that requires an explanation and a deeper understanding.
Well, and because we are individualists, you can't we don't group people together. And if you don't group people together, you can't come up with a one-size-fits-all slogan.
Right.
Because everyone's different. And so, yeah, it doesn't help with our messaging.
Yeah.
Because, like, an answer would be, well, it depends on the situation. It depends on the person. Like, I'm not going to just agree to this for everyone.
Yeah.
Because we don't believe in one-size-fits-all.
Yep. Absolutely right.
Valley billionaire and Trump supporter. There's Richard Mellon Scaife, the libertarian billionaire who, along with Thiel and the Koch brothers, helped to fund the anti-taxation party, the Tea Party. You remember them. The guys who swept into power in 2010 and made John McCain look appealing.
Why?
And
Because
of
we call
course,
them a
there's the
war
Koch
criminal?
brothers, both lifelong libertarians. Before they became the Statler and Waldorf of our political puppet show, David Koch was actually the libertarian candidate for vice president in 1980. They've spent decades using their money to drastically lower personal and corporate taxes, cut social services for the needy, and end government oversight
build
of
them a
industry,
statue.
especially environmental regulation. Oh, and of course, donating like crazy to Republicans.
Then they're not
And all that
libertarians.
could, in part, explain why Republican presidential candidates now sound just as unhinged as libertarians. First, let's listen to some of the libertarians running for president.
We would abolish the Federal Department of Education.
So you would have no EPA?
Pardon?
You would have no environmental
definitely have no
protection
EPA.
agency.
Absolutely, sir.
Let's abolish the IRS.
All right, and now let's listen to some recent Republican candidates for president.
I believe we should abolish the Federal Department of Education.
I would abolish the Department of Education.
We get rid of the IRS.
I would abolish the Department of Energy, which has failed totally since the mid-1970s.
Right away.
I'm going to cut big Department of Education.
Yeah, me cut education.
The big difference between libertarians and Republicans is we would actually do it. They just promise, and they never do anything.
Well, okay, so you have to go even a level deeper than that, which is, why do we want to do that? Because we want better education. That's why we want to get rid of these departments.
Right.
Because we want good education. We want good education that I can pick, that I have the power to choose, you know, not only for me, but for my children. That's why we want to do that.
Well, and that's the thing is, I'm talking to a lot of leftist friends of mine, and probably this guy too, they have this idea that...
He's a friend of yours?
Yeah, with that Three Musketeers facial hair. Fuck
I demand you drag his ass in here right now.
All right, D'Artagnan. No, but like the idea that like the government knows better than you because you're subhuman. Like there is like, again, especially on the left, there is this superiority complex of you're stupid and you're a little like, oh, you want to like, you know, like self-ownership. Well, that's dangerous because you're stupid. And then like their answer to that is more government and government control, because if you have freedom, you know, God knows what you could do with it.
Big. While Trump has yet to actually abolish any departments, he has appointed Betsy DeVos, an anti-public school billionaire, and Scott Pruitt, a climate change denier who constantly sued the EPA as Attorney General, to head them, which is essentially like putting a time bomb in both departments. And while Republicans aren't asking us to donate to some sort of voluntary grandma fund, Republican plans for social programs include work requirements for Medicaid, cutting Social Security, and privatizing Medicare, which is like meeting libertarians in the middle of the libertarian platform. Side note, why does their logo look like a sewer lid?
It's a gold coin, you fucking idiot. You piece of shit tool, it's a gold coin.
Not a Bitcoin, gold coin.
Libertarian free market ideals are even catching on in liberal Silicon Valley. And that's because many of the billionaires at the top of the food chain are self-described libertarians like Thiel or Elon Musk and former Uber CEO Travis Kalanick. Libertarians have formed a symbiotic relationship with liberal tech companies because they offer capitalist solutions to problems that are largely caused by capitalism.
The model of the future is Uber.
It's Uber capitalism, you dumb fuck. I just want to punch this guy in the face, but I can't because I'm a libertarian.
I feel like he's aggressive against us.
I'm so dangerous.
I feel like this
can't harm you.
I feel like this video is a violation of the NAP.
It's definitely putting me into a trigger mode. I never thought I'd ever say that in reference to myself.
It's Uber accountant, it's Uber doctor, it's Uber electrician, it's Uber plumber.
Does anyone else think that sounds suspiciously similar to the Gallbladders R Us plant? I'm pretty sure Gary Johnson just has one plant.
Prove why it's a bad thing, just to remind you.
Well, and again, Gary Johnson was not the greatest on messaging. Like, I mean, there would have been a much better. I mean, he smokes a lot of weed. There would have been a much better. Just a revolting human being. But there would have been a better, again, the Gallbladders R Us and the whole Uber. And like, I get where he's coming from, because if there is a need, there would be a industry that meets that need. That's what capitalism is.
Yeah.
But you know, trying to brand everything Uber R Us or Gallbladders, that's kind of dumb.
The libertarian ideology has been pulling mainstream politics to the right for decades now. This belief that the free market is God is now so deeply embedded in our politics that liberals who define themselves as being against racism, sexism, and classism now completely ignore the role of capitalism in creating racism, sexism, and classism. When you
Okay, again, another claim completely unsubstantiated.
Yep.
How?
Show
How
me
did
proof.
it do that? Show me. You point to me the exact events in capitalism. This, and he uses it extremely nebulously, but like, point to me to the specific events where capitalism, as the way that it is actually defined, created sexism, racism, misogyny, all these things. Show me.
And again,
and the best he's going to be able to do is be like, look at this fucking coffee ad from 1960 where there's this fucking white guy with, in a suit and tie saying like, this dumb bitch doesn't know how to make coffee, like, show me something like better than that.
And again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but capitalism is the free and voluntary exchange of goods or service for money. Like, do we have that? I mean, you can't sell lemonade without a license anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
ignore the effects of someone's economic beliefs that lead to discriminatory practices because that person says they're socially liberal.
Again, how? I'm so sorry. We've paused this thing 40,000 times. But
I'm
again,
actually surprised we haven't
how?
paused it more. There are multiple times I want to jump in. I'm like, no, just let it play. This is going to be a 6-hour podcast.
You end up looking at people like Rand Paul and going, he's basically Malcolm X. I mean, he's fiscally conservative, but socially Malcolm X.
Dude, he's
And while
closer to
libertarian
fucking Malcolm
ideology
X than
made the-
Barack fucking Obama was.
Yeah, well, and that's just the idea is because I say it, therefore it is.
Yeah.
Like that idea
It's
of like
I feel it, therefore
right,
it is.
I feel it there. That's wokeism in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's progressivism in a nutshell.
Progressivism, yeah.
You know, because woke is just the new term for progressives.
Right, it's like a rebranding.
Yeah.
Democratic Party more corporatist, it's made the Republican Party into Ayn Rand's wet dream. Look, I'm not saying
That's
the
two
party has gone full
Ayn Rand
libertarian,
references.
okay?
This
So
guy's
before
like,
someone
this
from
is a
Reason
solid
Magazine sees
script.
this and has a actually stroke, please just relax, take a breath, rub your copy of Atlas Shrugged, and squeeze your Milton
Ayn
Friedman
Rand
Dakimakura body pillow. America will never go full libertarian because going full libertarian isn't what libertarian billionaires are shooting for. Libertarian candidates talk a big game about individual.
Okay, I mean, I'll actually agree with him on that point because these billionaires are not libertarians.
Right.
How do you think? Like another thing is like, how do you think they became billionaires? You know, do you have any idea how hard it would be in like an ANCAP society or like, let's say the perfect libertarian utopia? How fucking
In pure
difficult it would be?
capitalism.
Like how difficult it would have to be to become a billionaire.
To even have a monopoly on anything.
It'd be impossible to have a monopoly.
Like you might have it for maybe a hot second, but
then the next guy's going to do it better.
He's going to find a way to do it better or bring it cheaper or make it a better quality. Like, yeah, you would never have trillionaires in a free capitalist society.
That's what a lot of these fucking, I mean, he made fun of tankies, but that's what this fucking guy is, you know, like he has not made one single, even the most remote effort to actually understand the thing that he's criticizing, you know, or even the things that he's referencing. It's like after he made that, rub your copy of Atlas Shrugged, be like, what is Atlas Shrugged about? What's it about?
No idea, I'm sure.
Who's the main character?
Right. Where is John Galt?
Freedoms like gay marriage and legalized drugs, but the libertarian donor class is happy to throw the social part of their platform under the bus to get their economic goals fulfilled. Listen, I don't hate libertarians, okay? Some of my best parents are libertarians, and I actually kind of...
Yeah, they're not. Your parents are neocons.
I feel it, therefore it is. That needs to be on a t-shirt.
Yeah,
I
there you
feel
go.
it, therefore it is.
Yep.
respect their idealism and the stringency of their beliefs. You know, the same way I respect the idealism and stringency of the Branch Davidians, or I...
This and I cut it off in the middle of the word, but he goes, the same way I give legitimacy to Branch Davidians or ISIS.
Like they're the same.
Like the fucking Branch Davidians were the fucking bad guys. Like, this just further illustrates how little this guy knows anything deeper than some fucking buzzwords, you know?
Or whatever than CNN or MSNBC spouts out.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This has, it's going to get weird for a second. Oh, shit. This has, well, he's got 1.2 million subscribers.
39,000 views.
39,000. So, like, 39,000 views, 39,000 people who watch, assuming every single one is like a lefty, you know, but most of them are.
Yeah, because if you're a libertarian at all, I think you watch 5 seconds of this and you're like,
Well, let me tell you, you don't make it 12 and a half minutes into this thing.
Yeah, this was painful.
But compare, like, this is the part where I was just really like, this is a bad dude. This is not a good person. And it's comparing Branch Davidians to ISIS, you know.
He's an authoritarian statist.
Yeah. I think
that we said exactly before, he loves the state more than we love the state.
Well, I don't know if you can do that. I mean, we love the state a lot.
We really do. That's why we showcase ass munches like this.
Fuck this guy. Fucking children died at Waco. I'm sorry. I'm going off on a whole other thing.
But just like any fringe radical group, we probably should not let them so close to the reins of power. Hey everyone, thanks for watching.
Because they leave everyone alone, and that's unacceptable.
We don't want them so close to the reins of power. Like, why? What are we going to do with them?
Yeah, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
We're going to make your life so horrible that you're going to have to pay for your own medical bills, and they would be 1,000 times cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, unfortunately, this is so much of your standard, like, Starbucks drinking liberal.
Yeah. Well, going back to the gallbladders are us thing, because I really felt like when he wrote that, he was like, this is
gold.
Gallbladders are us? Yeah. This is going to be gold.
Yeah. I'm hilarious.
Like,
I'm going to turn this into a montage.
I'm sorry. Like, if you had the Walmart of gallbladders, how many lives would be positively affected by that? If they're like, oh, my gallbladder's going out, let me just go pick up a new one. How many people would be saved? How many lives would be saved? How many lives would be fundamentally changed and being able to take care of it right then and there?
Right. There would always, a market demand would always result in a market supply.
Yeah.
That's just how things work in an economy when you don't have a government that's intervening between the two.
Right.
And that's, like I said before, multiple times, the first 100 years of this country, that's what we had. We had kind of a libertarian utopia.
Yeah.
I mean, granted that, there was shit like slavery. There was some crazy, horrible things that happened. I mean, I think average lifespan was like 60 years old, and there was cholera. There was a lot of hardships, but we didn't have to fight the government to start a business.
Right.
It's so frustrating to argue with people that say libertarianism is just a religion or a crazy pipe dream.
Yeah.
And it could never work. Mm-hmm. Because it can, and it did for 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up.
Yeah, I need to go check my blood sugar and my heart, my blood pressure.
You need a cookie?
I'm going to need to go take a walk, do some breathing exercises.
Well, everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for going through this with us as we got way too emotional over this video.
Hopefully you had a couple laughs. We tried to soften up the topic a little bit.
Yeah.
For our own sake, but hopefully, you got to join along with us.
Yeah. So as far as the live stream, that didn't happen, but we're still trying to figure that out. Baby steps. We're getting there. Hopefully you just enjoy this episode and you come back next week for more shenanigans. All right. If you want to follow me on TikTok, you can follow me at Andy Coons, Koons. If you want to follow me on Twitter, which I'm actually way more active on Twitter than I am on TikTok, you can follow me at Andy_Coons. Go to our We Love the State Facebook page. Ben is always sharing memes on there. You pretty much just run the Facebook page. You do a damn good job.
Yeah, it's a lot of memes.
Yeah.
I'm a sharing kind libertarian. But you can find me, Picture This 1979.
Actually,
my
we redistribute
handle.
our memes.
We do.
Yeah.
We do give it, we create them with love or steal them with love. Borrow them, not stealing.
We tax them.
We redistribute them. So Picture This 1979 is my Instagram handle, and it's also my Twitter handle. So I'm not on Twitter nearly as much. And that's something else that I think we can talk about maybe next time, about the new CEO of Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to be sticking to Rumble and locals. So hopefully they last a lot longer than Elon Musk's perfect free Twitter.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you so much for coming back here. We really appreciate you guys showing up. Thank you for all the support. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Peace.